jump on Garage Logic YouTube, don't I?
Such, rolling.
Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1481, Feb 11, 2025. 57 degrees on this day was the record high, and that was in 1882. And then years later, in 1899, they awakened in their covered wagons to 31 below.
Woo!
Hail the Flashlight King.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Height in the newsroom, and of course, the Rookie. Here is your Flashlight King, Fireworks Commissioner, and the Keeper of Common Sense, your mayor, Joe Soucheray.
Before we begin, I have a Linda Van Gwilla from Brian who writes, just thought you might like this interesting fact about our friends in Anguilla. Good luck and keep pushing back. The national sport in Anguilla is boat racing.
Really?
This passion stemmed from the early 1900s when the Anguillans sought employment on neighboring islands. The voyages home would turn into competitions.
That's right up your alley.
I think so.
What do you think they're...
I'm going to Anguilla, and I'm going to be the Commodore.
What? Yeah.
And they practice
Little
boat
spinnaker.
safety, don't
what
they?
do they have? What do you picture for boats that they're racing?
Well, in 1900, I'm sure they were very primitive. Now they're probably beautiful sailboats.
Catamarans, that kind of stuff?
Before the show, we all discovered... Well, not you. You weren't really paying attention.
No, I don't really like to be by you guys prior to the show.
Right. We discovered a fraud that we don't understand. I'm very comfortable in suggesting that it is absolutely a fraud, but we don't get it. And maybe the best way to set it up is to play another good Jay Coles investigative piece from 5 Eyewitness News. But before you do, let me tell you it involves the resignation of the woman who was in charge of dispensing money to the neighborhood violence interrupters.
Okay.
And she resigned, and Cole got into it with her, and she explained that she was having a difficult time with this, and she was meeting a lot of pressure from city council people. And basically, as I gathered, and we might learn more listening to this audio, she was getting bills that were just essentially written on napkins. You know, you owe us some money.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the audio.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Kirsten Swanson. Brett has the night off. First at 10, a former top administrator under Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey is speaking out about what she calls problems inside a high-profile city agency. Luana Nelson Brown resigned a few weeks ago as the head of the Neighborhood Safety Department. Tonight, Nelson Brown talked with our Jay Coles about what she identifies as issues with how contracts are awarded and managed for violence intervention programs. Jay joins us now with a story you're seeing first on 5.
Kirsten, Luana Brown Nelson tells me she got pushback from a city council member shortly after becoming director of the Neighborhood Safety Department. That's back in July of 2023. She says in early 2024, she stopped paying some violence interrupter groups, saying they did not properly account for millions of dollars in taxpayer finance contracts. Now, Nelson Brown says it's time the public know what's happening behind the scenes.
This is just wrong for the taxpayers. The taxpayers should know how their money's being spent, whether or not it's a good investment, and we should all be working together.
Luana Nelson Brown says she discovered shortly after taking the job as director of the Neighborhood Safety Department in 2023 that some violence interrupter groups were getting millions of dollars, but they did not properly, she says, document how they spent that taxpayer money.
And that comes with receipts and canceled checks. These came with no documentation at all. So it was just a piece of paper with an amount and pay me, basically, which is not okay.
How much money are we talking, roughly?
We're talking several $1 million.
Nelson Brown says she then stopped paying some of those invoices in early 2024. She says that's when City Council member Robin Wansley got more involved.
As she started to send letters to the mayor and to the commissioner who I reported to and challenge me on the dais, amongst various things.
Nelson Brown says a new system was put in place to award contracts for 2025. And when some of the violence interrupter groups were recently notified they did not get a contract, the pressure, she says, came back again.
Councilmember Wansley came with this resolution to move the money to Hennepin County to have Hennepin County deliver the services, which does nothing but circumvent the entire RFP process.
Commissioner of Community Safety Todd Barnett issued a statement which says, in part, quote, unfortunately, several city council members choose to only support those efforts when it benefits their favorite nonprofits. This selective and self-serving approach not only hampers the integrity of our work, but also undermines the important progress being made by the Neighborhood Safety Department.
Why did you decide to leave?
I could not take the pressure and the pushback anymore. The humiliation and harassment on the dais in public was just unnecessary.
Now, I reached out to Councilmember Wansley for her side of things, but she declined to comment on Nelson Brown's statements. And Wansley does have a news conference scheduled prior to a Budget Committee hearing for tomorrow. In a release, Wansley says she wants to transfer $1.2 million in gang initiative money from the city over to Hennepin County. Wansley claims there have been long-lasting concerns over mismanagement of the Neighborhood Safety Department. And she argues moving money and programs to the county will ensure, quote, crucial public safety services are deployed effectively. Now, it's unclear if any of the concerns raised by Nelson Brown will be addressed tomorrow, but we will update you on any decisions as they happen. Reporting live in the newsroom, Jay Coles, 5 Eyewitness News.
All right, thank you.
Thoughts?
It sounds like Wansley and others on the council think that by transferring the money situation over to the county, that the money's going to keep flowing uninterrupted with no proof of where it's spent and how it's spent needed. Is that what you got?
Well, what I would add to that is that she must have somebody in Hennepin County she can rely on to keep up this nonsense.
So are they looking
Wansley,
for
do you mean?
Yeah.
less accountability
Right.
if the county's handing out the checks?
Let's-
or it's too...
Let's review. Here's what I heard. What was the woman's name?
Robin Wansley?
No, the woman who resigned.
Luana Nelson Brown.
Luana Nelson Brown. First of all, I'm very disappointed in her
Why?
because I wish she would have stayed on. She is willing to chat now.
Yeah.
And
She's the exact person we need.
Yeah,
You're right.
exactly. We needed her to stay there and fight the good fight. In fact, she even used the word pushback, but said she was tired of the pushback.
Yeah.
I wish she hadn't become exhausted by it. What I heard is, post George Floyd, they created these situations where we're going to pay essentially gang members money to walk around the street and pretend they were doing something. They're not accomplishing anything. They haven't accomplished anything. And the proof of that is we have no proof of it. Right?
Yeah.
Well, the proof of it is
You're right.
we have no evidence that they've done anything, which is what this woman's pointing out. They would bill me sometimes just on a piece of paper saying, here's the amount of money I need. Well, they obviously exhausted their previous payday, and now they're coming back on a napkin or the back of a gas station receipt and saying, here, you now owe me some more money. And it sounds like for a while she was paying it and then just said to herself, well, this is BS.
This isn't legit.
I'm not doing it. At which point she gets heat from Robin Wansley saying, hey, pay my fellas here. Pay my people.
The impression it gives is every single program government has their hands on is just one giant grift
We're getting to that.
after another.
We're getting to that. So Wansley, and I still think this is an unknown X factor in this fraud, she believes that somehow by transferring payments to Hennepin County, they will continue. Perhaps we need to call Jay Coles and ask him that. What does Robin Wansley, who clearly is trying to pay people that support her, what does she see in Hennepin County that would be an improvement on Luana Nelson Brown?
I think Jay didn't speculate on that because that's not good reporting.
He can do that on this show. He can speculate on this show if he wants to.
He might put the brakes on that.
That's fine. That's fine.
No, but I think you're headed down the right path. Absolutely. This all reeks of third rail and their team and our team and everything we've always talked about.
Exactly. This is just another means by which one hand of the public sector is stealing money from the other hand and then dispensing it to the people they want it to go to.
Yep.
It's just utter BS. And plus, again, the violence interrupters have interrupted nothing, bearing the fact that there is no evidence that they've interrupted anything. She said they're not turning in receipts, they're not turning in the proper paperwork, and yet she was expected to pay them, and it sounds like she reached a point where she said, well, the hell with this.
Right.
Which is why I'm disappointed in her. We needed her to stay and fight the good fight, and now she'll end up in Springfield, Illinois with a similar gig. I have no idea. Yes?
I left Jay a voicemail and also a text message.
So the Reverend Jerry McAfee he leads 21 Days of Peace, coalition of violence interrupters. He is very upset. They gather at crime hotspots in Minneapolis with the goal of diffusing violence. He's accusing the council members in favor of the move of not seeing his organization's work firsthand, which just adds to my confusion on the whole matter.
Meaning he wants to be reimbursed?
No, I don't want to indict McAfee because
he's been around for a while.
I don't know enough yet, but I did hear McAfee raise quite a ruckus at the city council meeting, saying, "What are you doing? You need to pay our people, and now you're shifting it to Hennepin County. Hennepin County's the big X I got to fill in here. I don't know why that's troublesome or favorable or." What we've left a message for Jay Coles, but it sounds to me like what we're really arguing about is who's going to pay us to cheat.
Todd Barnett, the Minneapolis Community Safety Commissioner, said it's a mischaracterization of a problem that doesn't exist and it needs to stop.
What problem is it that doesn't exist?
He said the services are, in fact, the cornerstone of neighborhood safety.
Well, if you could ever get O'Hara to be candid about it, and I'm not going to expect him to me, I bet he'd tell you, well, that's utter nonsense. There's no evidence that these people's... I saw a video of the 20... They have 21 on their jackets or something, and they walk around, and...
That's the Reverend's group, yep.
Yeah. And again, I'm not indicting McAfee. I don't know anything about it, but I don't know what McAfee was arguing on behalf of.
I get so many mixed messages. I mean, I've read a couple of different stories, and it almost seems like the city council is being portrayed in a favorable light when you talk to the resistors like the Reverend and this other guy. Who did I say? Todd Barnett.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
This is an example of America's depleted newspapers. This is an example of city halls are now getting away with more than they got away with, say, as recently as 25 years ago. All right?
Okay.
They're getting away with much more because there is nobody watching them. Now, the Star Tribune has probably enough staff to staff a city hall bureau. I'm not sure they do. The Pioneer Press no longer does and hasn't for some time. I've said it a million times. For example, Melvin Carter could not get away with a cabinet of about 21 people with job titles that are absolutely ridiculous because they don't do anything. He couldn't have got away with that 25 years ago. It would have been broadcast out to the public. The public would have realized the folly of it, and the mayor at the time would have said, well, I'm not going to try this. Now...
Okay, but you mentioned the Pioneer Press and the Star Tribune. they had people back then that may have been on it.
Yes.
But don't you also agree talk radio was on it? K-Talk or 1500, I mean, also the newsmakers.
Based on my experience,
Barbara Carlson.
well, based on my experience, Barbara Carlson never accomplished a thing.
But she would call out.
And either have I. Talk radio, historically and conventionally, is not the medium by which civic change has been brought about.
That's true, but the only reason I know Reverend McAfee's name is because I've heard it for 30 years on 1500 or Garage Logic or wherever.
But you also need a public that gives a damn.
You also need a public that not only gives a damn but reads the newspaper, and it's just
Speaking of
doesn't
reading
happen anymore. They're not for sale in hotels.
Speaking of violence interrupters in the newspapers, from August 21, 2024, Minneapolis will start auditing violence interrupter groups. From January 21st, Director of Minneapolis Violence Prevention Department resigns. From February 6th, some Minneapolis council members want county to take over troubled violence prevention programs. And finally, February 9th, just that would have been, what, Saturday?
Yes.
What do you always tell us about Saturday?
Great news escapes on Saturday because they think no one's paying attention.
Yeah, mismanagement of violence prevention puts Minneapolis residents in danger.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like the Strib has been on this for a while.
Okay, but adding the county is so overwhelmed. Think of child services, think of all the audits, think of adding another layer for them does not make sense. The private sector, whether these gangs are legitimate or not, it seems they can be held more accountable.
Wait, the February 9th thing was something you warned me about, and I have it somewhere. It's that Wansley editorial in the op-ed piece.
Yeah.
Remember, you told us
Yes.
about that last week.
Yes. Well, I think what we can safely conclude is that there is no accounting for millions of dollars of taxpayer money that is going to groups that call themselves violence interrupters. It was another made out of whole cloth stealing of public money in the wake of the George Floyd spring, period. That's all it is. There's no paperwork to show what they've done. There's no paperwork to show their payment schedules. There's no paperwork for anything.
Maybe they're just like Royce. I don't like paperwork.
Is there a dare ask? I don't know if I should. Do you suppose there's a racial element to this?
I don't know how there could be when all parties involved are probably, well, let me recant.
Well, they're African Americans, most of them.
Yeah. So what's the racial aspect?
They get the money because they're black? I don't know.
Oh, yes. I believe that wholeheartedly.
What is the downtown Minneapolis problem?
And you know what? It wouldn't bother me that African American people are getting the money, but show me what you've done.
Yeah, I can't imagine that audit process.
Show me what you've done.
Where's the file cabinet? Right here.
You're picturing the scene of Dumb and Dumber. Where he's got all the IOUs in a briefcase. That's what I was picturing.
That's
with
my
No,
file system.
you're right, Joe. After every time a police officer shows up at the scene of a crime or they pull pull somebody over, what do they have to do? They have to do the paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the paperwork? What would they call post-engagement paperwork?
Well, you've hired people. Hiring is a loose term. You're paying people who are not accustomed to fulfilling those kinds of obligations.
What are your expenses on
But-
a piece of paper?
We don't get paid unless we put in a time card. I mean, it's that simple. Tell us what you did so you can get paid.
The third rail is very unhinged, whether it's locally, statewide, federally. You're discovering this in Washington right now.
Still against Elon, are you?
Wait, before we don't know,
I never said I was against Elon.
kidding.
I'm wondering
I'm
what
kidding.
the end game is.
I'm kidding.
Well,
John,
don't
are we
kid.
missing anything, John?
I don't think so. The only thing I can add to this story is there's a story today about the chief talking about the interrupters helping with the lessening juvenile crime. I have that in the news, actually, so maybe it's best just to leave that for the news story to
Well,
be read.
no, I want to pursue that with you right now. I
Okay,
thought what the chief has been talking about most recently is there is some There's some curfew group that's been established.
Task force, a curfew
task force. I don't think that has anything to do with violence interrupters.
You are incorrect. I mean that only in the nicest way.
Yeah.
There are officers, community groups, including McAfee's group,
Okay.
and partner agencies that are part of that task force.
Oh, okay.
You know, we had the case yesterday of the 6 teens, one of whom was 11, the oldest is 15.
Carjackers?
Yeah.
Carjacked a woman, and then it's been reported that they were found and arrested with the help of their parents.
Yeah.
Okay, is that being passed off as an example of how successful this curfew task force has been?
It's part of this story, yes.
All right.
It is. And O'Hara said he believes it's helping to strengthen trust within the community, specifically with parents in multiple cases, including that recent carjacking. Some parents called to help track down the kids in the stolen car.
You have Jay right now?
He can join us after the break.
Okay.
So do you see that as a ray of hope, though, that the parents turn them in?
Yes.
There's
Yeah.
engagement. Okay, let's start with that.
Yep.
Tim Bloom from EcoFund Motorsport writes, I'm a few days behind, but I told ChatGPT to make an ad for EcoFund about Yamaha generators using your voice for GL. This is the ad it created. EcoFund Motorsports presents the Yamaha generator half-price sale. In my voice, see?
Okay.
See, like I'm doing right now.
Yeah, that's scratchy.
Say, GLers, listen up. This is one of those deals that comes along once in a blue moon. And if you miss it, you'll be kicking yourself well into next winter. EcoFun Motorsports, our go-to spot for all things fun on 2, 3, and 4 wheels, is slashing prices on Yamaha generators by half. Now, I don't have to tell you why a good generator is a must-have, whether it's keeping the lights on at the cabin, running power tools at the job site, or making sure the fridge stays cold when the grid goes belly up. Yamaha generators are the gold standard in reliability, and at half price, that's pure garage logic. But here's the deal. You got to act now. These things are going to fly out of EcoFun showroom faster than Kenny hitting the ditch on his way to work. Stop. This is all done by ChatGPT. GPG.
Yeah.
Stop by EcoFun Motorsports in Forest Lake or Burnsville and check them out online before the sale ends. EcoFun Motorsports is in Forest Lake. It's on 97, immediately west of the interstate. Brand new big building. You can't miss it. And remember, it's also the electric bike capital of the world. And there's an EcoFun Motorsports down on Burnsville on the service road of life near County Road 42, EcoFunMotorsports.com.
It's the end of the world as we know it, and he feels fine. Joe Souchere.
Hofferman Water and Connecticut. Hofferman Water is an independent water treatment dealer. I saw one of their trucks driving in this morning to work, and here's the deal. They offer sales, service, and rental options for Connecticut water treatment systems. That includes maybe you're looking for a brand new water softener or an iron, rust, and odor filtration system, or you're just looking to upgrade your drinking water. Well, they can do that with one of their fantastic drinking water systems. And that's because a new system from Connecticut and Hofferman Water can do so many things that other water softeners just simply cannot do. It's going to cut down on your salt usage. You already knew that. But did you know that it's going to protect your appliances? And that's because bad water can affect nearly every single aspect of your home. So once you get that new system, your showers are better. So is your laundry, so is your cooking, and of course, so is your drinking water. So please get in touch with my friends at Hofferman Water today. I had my system installed years ago, and it's made an amazing difference in the quality of my water. Call them today at 612-895-2440 or book your appointment online at HoffermanWater.com. Either way, you can get that appointment booked for that free water analysis, and they'll give you what's called a water score. 612-895-2440 or visit HoffermanWater.com. Hofferman Water has been proudly serving the state of Minnesota for over 50 years. Mention that you heard about them on the Garage Logic podcast.
Jay Coles.
Give me a second so I can call him. I was doing an ad.
Hey, Jay, you're a little quiet today, huh? Needed to talk a little more.
I thought he was on hold. That's why I said
He's always on hold. He's hiding in some bushes somewhere, ready to jump out at somebody and say, "Hey,
he's been busy lately.
Yeah, he does a good job.
Daycare fraud. That sounds like Sid. I don't really want to talk to Sid right now.
He is driving, and he is with you right
Jay Coles,
Hey, Joe. How you doing?
you're a busy guy lately. We're trying to figure out the neighborhood interrupter fraud. I'm terribly comfortable calling it fraud. There's only one part we're struggling with. Why would Robin Wansley want the payments to be dispersed from Hennepin County as opposed to the city?
Well, when I interviewed Sunday night, I interviewed a woman by the name of Luana Nelson Brown.
Right, we just played that. We just played that whole interview.
Oh, okay. Okay, I didn't know that. All right, so she had resigned, and I've been trying to track her down for an interview. Got an interview with her, and she went on the record. And it's her opinion, based on the pressure she was getting from Robin Wansley, that when there were three groups in particular that haven't been named publicly yet, that Robin apparently was lobbying harder than usual, and was upset that they didn't get contracts renewed for 2025.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is the belief of Luana Nelson Brown and, by the way, the commissioner of the Office of Community Safety, Todrick Barnett, who's the former chief judge of Hennepin County, it's their opinion that Wansley is trying to circumvent the bid process, and by doing that, she's getting people on the council who support her to redirect $1.2 million to Hennepin County's gang violence initiative. And the belief is Wansley has connections over there at Hennepin County that will help direct that money to the three groups who did not get renewed in 2025. Now, Wansley is denying all of this and says they have a rigorous RFP process in Hennepin County, and even if I wanted to give it to people I knew, I couldn't do that. So that's kind of where it stands. The accusation is Wansley's not happy that three groups that she's close with didn't get the money. She redirects the money with help from other council members to Hennepin County, which would then allow Hennepin County to give that money to the groups Wansley prefers.
It sounds to me like the contracts were not awarded because the three groups failed to do anything that reasonably approximates business. They didn't submit correct bills. They didn't offer receipts. They provide no evidence of what they're up to. So it's further speculating on my part that despite Wansley's denial, she must think that somebody in Hennepin County is going to accept that casual attitude and still disperse the money.
That is the accusations being leveled from Nelson Brown and from Commissioner Barnett. That's exactly what they have said on the record is happening.
Well, you can see why I began this conversation by saying I'm terribly comfortable calling this yet another fraud.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, no, you're in a little different position than me. You understand?
No, I know
that.
that. I know that.
So, Jay, my question is, so you saw, obviously, I'm guessing what led to your interview is Wansley's editorial she had last week or Saturday. Is that what led to her coming out?
No, what had happened was, Kenny, as she mentions in the story that I did Sunday, she resigned around late somewhere in the third week of January.
Yeah.
And I had heard what was going on, that she was getting a lot of pressure. And in fact, she told me on the record that once she got there in July of 2023, she stops payments in 2024 to some of these violence interrupter groups because she just didn't feel like they were accounting for the money, and it was multiple millions. And when she stopped the payments in 2024, she told me she started to get a lot of threatening messages.
Okay.
And in fact, she said in several instances, 3 separate times, there was a car that blocked her driveway where she lives in Minneapolis, blocked her driveway in the morning. And the first time she went out and said, kind of odd, so she started to walk toward the car to say, hey, can you move so I can get out of the driveway? She said the car spun their tires and sped off. And she thought, well, that was weird. But then it happened 2 more times when she was trying to take her daughter to school. And she felt it was sort of she felt it was connected. She thought there was some
Right.
kind of intimidation going on. Could anybody prove it? But that's what she felt. And
Yeah.
things got so bad that she had to take 8 weeks from work to kind of, or excuse me, 6 weeks from work to collect herself because she started to feel a little fearful of what was happening.
So-
and
Okay, then my next question is when Wansley says GVI has been severely mismanaged, what she's actually saying is Nelson Brown has been withholding money because she can't figure out where it's going, et cetera, right? That's
exactly. So Wansley is accusing Nelson Brown of mismanagement.
Right, got
Nelson
it.
Nelson Brown, Luana is saying, wait a minute,
Yep.
what do you mean? I'm the one who said we can't do business like this. You can't take $500,000 if you're a violence interrupter group and not account for how you spent it. You just can't do it.
I wrote it down on a napkin.
So I think Nelson Brown and Todd Barnett, her commissioner, when I did the story Sunday night, came to her defense. He gave me a statement Sunday night. I believe, based on what Commissioner Barnett has said, to back up Luana Brown, that she was actually trying to do the right thing in terms of bookkeeping, right? Basic bookkeeping.
Yes.
And everything went to hell in a handbasket for her. And she said in the interview, as you heard, it was just too much. She said she had to leave. She couldn't take the humiliation and embarrassment anymore. And I think, I based on everything I saw and have heard over the last year and a half, Luana Nelson Brown was doing a good job trying to do the right thing, and almost kind of in a way, you could say, got forced out of that position simply because she said, I want people to follow good accounting practices because this is the public's money. I know you guys would agree. Most people would agree. That seems logical and reasonable, right?
But Jay, if Brown is aware of that and Barnett is aware of it, wouldn't that mean sharper eyes from here on out are on this pile of money and it's not going to be dispersed without the correct bookkeeping?
Correct. In fact, the reason so another thing Luana Nelson Brown did, Joe, she stops the payments in 2024. She and Commissioner Barnett set up a whole brand new template for RFPs, which is the bidding process.
What's RFP stand for?
Request for proposal.
Yeah. Okay.
Bid.
And
It's
so
a bid.
it's simply a form you fill out in your bidding against others, and you fill out an application is what it is, right?
Yep.
But what they did was they decided to score these groups that were applying. So in other words, you submit your application, you submit your resume, all your past accomplishments, and you are graded. They gave them scores.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 of these groups, it's my understanding, 3 groups who've always received the GVI and violence interrupter money scored too low. And those are the 3 that they're alleging are connected to Wansley.
Yeah.
And that's what got the wheels moving to take it over to Hennepin County.
Oh, okay.
And so, but what Luana was trying to explain to me was, so even though those 3 groups didn't get it, Jay, it doesn't mean they were never going to get the money again. She goes, in other words, let's say we pick 7 groups. They score high. Now we're in negotiations with those 7 groups, and we don't name them publicly till we have a signed contract. Now, if we get in contract talks and say 2 of those 7 pull out and say they don't like the rigorous parameters, we then go to the next group in line with the next score.
Right.
So Luana was a little surprised that everybody reacted the way they did when it wasn't even a finished process yet.
Yeah. Jay, I appreciate it. Good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you, Brodsky.
Yeah.
See you. Okay.
All
Bye,
right.
guys. Bye.
Well, it's terribly evident what this is.
Sure seems like it.
It's just terribly evident this is more crooked
It's a grift.
grifting with the taxpayer money.
Yep.
Do you have any bio on Robin Wansley?
I do have a bio on Robin Wansley. She was born in Chicago, grew up in the South Side. She attended Carleton College.
Carleton, huh?
Carleton on a Passe Foundation scholar and graduated in 2013 with a BA in Women's and Gender Studies.
Can't flunk that.
She was awarded a Watson Fellowship that supported her travel to Canada, Australia, South Africa, and Ireland, where she studied criminal justice policies and practices.
Can't flunk that.
Moved to Minneapolis in 2014 and became the program coordinator for the U of M's Women's Center and a board member on the Restorative Justice Community Action.
Can't fail that.
Mini MBA in Nonprofit Management from UST in 2015 and began a PhD program at the U of M in 2018. During her PhD program, she conducted research on housing and racial disparities in the Gender, Women, and Sexuality Studies Department.
Can't flunk that.
After Jamal Clark's killing, she became politically active in Black Lives Matter and Fight for $15, organizing efforts to raise the minimum wage in the city. She joined the Twin Cities chapter of Democratic Socialists of America in March 20. In the summer of 2020, she participated in the George Floyd protest.
Yes.
Organizer in the Defund the Police movement in an effort to reallocate some community resources toward crime prevention services and programs.
Sure.
2021, she beats Cam Gordon. And anything else? She serves as chair. No, nothing
Married,
else.
Children, anything like that?
She resides in the Seward neighborhood of Minneapolis. That's all it says personally.
She's Ward 2, Cedar, Riverside, Como, Marcy Holmes, Prospect Park, Seward, and U of M.
Well, she has a sterling resume of activism and has never worked a day in her life.
Yeah, she advocated for the development of policy to address encampments in Minneapolis and the needs of encampment residents.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's your ringleader for these alleged frauds. Given her background, it sounds like it would be, however, allegedly, entirely natural for her to attempt to, however, allegedly, redistribute money. It sounds like the bottom line, what we're dealing with here, is the redistribution of taxpayer dollars. And in this case, she has found groups who support her that she believes would be willing to receive some redistributed money, however, allegedly.
I would also say she is very wise as far as being a black female.
I'm sure
to
she
go to
is.
some of those schools and say, I need a discount.
Yeah.
And
What would be
I'm sure
fun
she
to do, if we could, and obviously we can't, is trace that money from our hands to the violence interrupters, and then where it goes from there on would be really fascinating to find out.
I don't think it's that complicated.
Well,
look for the
I'm trying to
napkins.
say something without making
I know
any
you are.
accusations.
I don't think it's complicated
I
at
think
all.
you know what I'm saying.
There's a bag of money that has a big dollar sign
Yes.
on it.
Yeah,
and
it bounces around.
Robin puts her hand in it and starts spreading it around. However, allegedly.
Okay. All right.
We have an entire legal department here that's always wondering how I'm going to react to something. That's why I say, however, allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a shame. I think the taxpayers of Minneapolis will continue to vote for this because they either want to or they're too stupid to know otherwise. So,
However, allegedly.
however, allegedly. And again, there are people whose incomes apparently can allow them to not care. They just don't. It doesn't bother them. They have other concerns in their lives, and they're not. But ironically, I think it's the marginalized people who are most hurt by this kind of grifting.
Yes.
That's just less money for them to get some relief in their property taxes, their stakeholding in the city. They might want to own a home and they can't afford to. Well, because too much money has been squandered on redistribution, however, allegedly.
It's funny that the socialist wants to know how to get money, where to put it, who to give it to.
It's a crying shame, but the political class, closer you get to the tallest buildings in the country, has been turned over to the Robin Wansleys. They're very sharp people, even though they've never worked.
Anecdotal evidence that the violence interrupters, it works in the case of some kids, where it does actually, in fact, turn their lives
I hope it
around.
does, sure.
Because I've read a couple of statements here, starting with McAfee and then some of the kids that he's helped, where they have moved away from the violent lifestyle because of this.
Well, what are they doing for the money? Do they walk a beat for 8 hours a
Right.
day?
What's their
what's
corner?
That's all we ask.
You're paid by step, I think.
They get their steps in.
Yep.
Yeah. They look at their phones. And they go, look, I got 10,000 steps in. Well, then you're getting paid.
Mm-hmm. Put it on a napkin.
What a bunch of BS. You know what ain't BS?
What's that?
Having your own garage door guy. And GL's garage door guy is Precision Garage Door. Put this number into your contacts. You're going to need it. If you don't need it today, there's a day coming. She's a cold forecast.
Come on down.
612-263-6985. Precision Doors serves western Wisconsin, the entire metro area. They don't charge more for weekend emergency visits. And if you need a new door, they send out a garage door designer for a free consultation. They have affordable models of every range of garage doors. And if you get a door now, there's a current offer from Precision Door of a new garage door engine, motor. What am I trying
Opener.
to say? The opener.
Yeah.
It's a $760 value, and that's quite a bargain to go along with a new door. Call Precision Door, as I say, 612-263-6985, or go online at precisiondoormn.com.
And the Souchere.
All right.
Yeah, okay.
Oh.
Thanks for
Wow.
looking sports. And boom goes the dynamite. If your heating unit, whether it's a boiler, I don't care what it is, forced air, whatever the case may be, if you have some questions about that, get in touch with the Welter family. WelterHeating.com is the website. I'll give you the phone number, but you just have to remember WelterHeating.com, and then you can see the phone number on the screen. Heating units, cooling units, air purification systems. Don't wait until something is really making a banging noise to get that thing fixed. If something doesn't seem right or it's not catching up to 70 degrees or whatever you have your thermostat set at, get in touch with Welter. 4 generations, 116 years. They're closing in on 120 years of serving the metropolitan area here in the Twin Cities. And as technology changes, so do their techs. They're certified. They offer that 24/7 service. Hopefully you don't need that, but if you do want to make sure your heating unit is keeping that home nice and toasty warm, get in touch with them. There's a blog on their website that may answer some questions for you for free. If you want to talk to a person, call 612-825-6867 during business hours, and they will answer. WelterHeating.com. Don't forget to warm up your shelter with the fine folks from Welter.
Here's John Haidt.
Thank you, Joe. This news brought to you by North American Banking Company. First, we start with a couple local sports news stories. Arbitrators have ruled in favor of Mark Lowry and former MLB star Alex Rodriguez becoming the majority owners of the Timberwolves, a major win for the group that's been trying to buy the team for several years. With this ruling, the NBA's Board of Governors will now vote on Lowry and Rodriguez becoming the majority owners over current owner Glenn Taylor.
I predict that will not happen.
Think so. Huh? Or think
Why
not?
would the owners allow a sale that lessens the value of all their teams? And if you think the third rail can pull some fast ones, so can billionaires. So there's a lot of court work left to be done here. There's not a chance in hell the NBA owners are going to see a team sell for basement bargain price, which is what Lowry and Rodriguez
Right,
are
that's just
getting
going
it
to
at.
pull down there.
That's what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
But
They ain't no socialists, is
To
what you're
answer
saying.
your question, the reason for that is because they had a binding contract.
Yeah, well, we'll see how binding it is.
Yeah.
I got your binding
I'll
contract.
bind you and write it in your
Yeah.
head.
Lowry and Rodriguez said in a statement, "We are extremely pleased with today's decision."
I'm sure they are. They're getting it for nothing.
Taylor said in a statement that he and his wife Becky were disappointed by the ruling, which was a 2-1 decision. In a statement, Taylor said, "We will review the decision thoroughly prior to making any further comment. We'd like to express our sincere appreciation to Timberwolves and Lynx players, staff, and loyal fans for their support." The process of all this started back in 2021 when Taylor agreed to sell the Timberwolves and the Lynx to Rodriguez and Lowry. Rodriguez and Lowry planned to buy a majority of the team in 3 payment installments of 20%, 20%, and another 40%. But in March, Taylor called off the sale of the final 40% payment, saying the closing of the deal was to be done within 90 days following the exercise notice from Lori and Rodriguez. As a result, Rodriguez and Lori own 40%, while Taylor and other limited partners own the remaining 60%. All of that expired, and Taylor said at that point that Timberwolves and Lynx are no longer for sale.
I'd have to go back and read, but why was the price so low in 2021? Then it suddenly
the
shot
value
up.
of the Wolves was lower because they went on this great run, and they also had
the value became higher because they went on the great run.
I thought that's what I just said.
You said lower.
But anyway, it was lower back then.
Right.
My point is, but they also had that renovation with Target Center, and it's Joe. Look at it this way: you sell your house, okay? You get past the closing. You get to the closing day, and all of a sudden, I'm going to need a couple more bucks out of this. Well, that's not how it works.
Well, you'll be proven wrong, but we'll just be patient about it.
Oh, he's not arguing with you. He's just telling you why you're wrong.
With the victory in arbitration, the new owners would need approval from NBA owners.
And they're not going to get it. So there's your story.
75% of owners to approve the sale. So there you go. The other sports note, the Twins this morning, if you get emails from them, you probably noticed, have officially now launched their TV plan.
Oh, God.
You can now buy a subscription to their games in a direct-to-consumer streaming option. Buy it at twins.tv. The whole season would cost you $99.99. If you prefer to pay by the month, it would be $19.99 per month. If you sign up for the yearly package before April 1st, you'll also get 50% off select tickets for all Twins home games in April and May, including the home opener. One other option, if you like to watch other teams too, you can get the Twins on the MLB.TV stream, along with all other MLB games for $199.99 for the season. Normally, local games are blacked out with that package, but for that price, Twins games would not be blacked out.
If I had a first edition 1966 Porsche 911 and I sold it for $5,000, the other owners of 911s would string me from a tree. That's what's going to happen.
Can we go? Did you listen to the Twins story at all?
Yes, I did.
Were you too busy concocting that?
No, I listened to
genius
it.
way?
I listened to it.
Anybody that pays the Twins 1 cent for any kind of package is a complete idiot and fool. Do not pay these idiots. I will never watch a Twins game again if that is my option. You put them back on TV where they belong. I'm already paying a GD $210 a month to watch the Twins in the Wild on satellite TV, whatever the hell package I have.
Noted.
I'm so angry
Thank
about
you.
that.
Thank you.
How come I'm the only one pissed off about that?
I agree with you, Kenny, and I don't think that the Twins are.
You know why?
They're
It's
not
not on
reading
my
the room.
pissed off schedule yet. I
Come April?
Well, now
my
is the
pissed
time.
offness is in segments, and
I
I
shouldn't
haven't
have used
gotten
that
there yet.
word. Now is the time to get angry about it
Tis
before
the
the
season.
season starts.
Yeah, 'tis the season.
Right. Matthew's right.
In this
It's the
case.
season. John,
Hey, you done?
what do you want to say?
Well, I don't care.
Well,
That's
you
all I can
already
say.
buy a baseball package because you're a baseball guy, right? Yeah.
That's correct, sir.
Yeah.
You are correct. In news, Becker County Attorney Brian McDonald added a second burglary charge against State Senator Nicole Mitchell, focusing on items she had with her when police encountered her in a stepmother's home in April 2024 in Detroit Lakes. You all remember the story. Mitchell arrested, found in her stepmother's home April 22nd. According to court documents, the Woodbury DFLer told law enforcement she was there to retrieve items belonging to her late father. Originally charged with first-degree burglary, the new charge, filed this week, is a count of possession of burglary or theft tools. Court filings indicate Mitchell was in possession of a flashlight and a blue crowbar at the time of her arrest. Now, this new charge also a felony. If convicted, she could face prison. Mitchell's case was supposed to go to trial in late January, but her defense team invoked a Minnesota law saying lawmakers cannot be required to attend court proceedings during a legislative session. That delayed Mitchell's case until June and possibly later, depending on when the session wraps up. This new complaint filed yesterday includes more details about her alleged interaction with police the night of the robbery. It says Mitchell told an officer, quote, "I'm just hoping this mistake won't completely bleep up my life." And she voiced alarm about affecting her military retirement. Mitchell has said it was a misunderstanding, has pleaded not guilty. She and her stepmother hadn't been speaking in the months leading up to the incident.
How's that for another third rail rule? You can't go to court while you're working.
So far it hasn't.
Can you do that, I wonder?
No. So far it hasn't screwed up her life because nothing's changed for her.
Right.
A new approach related to what we were talking about earlier to stop juvenile crime is making a significant difference, according to police in Minneapolis, with help from families and community groups. After the arrest of 6 juveniles who carjacked a woman in northeast Minneapolis, Police Chief Brian O'Hara said it wouldn't have been possible without the work of the Curfew Task Force. O'Hara said community policing at its heart is acknowledging that we are in this together and we've had tremendous success from what the initial problem was. The task force includes a group of dedicated officers, community groups, and partner agencies working together to curb juvenile crime. It started out of tragedy last September following back-to-back deadly weekends downtown, both involving juveniles. After that, the Curfew Task Force was formed. Since then, Chief O'Hara credits it with a 40% reduction in all juvenile violent crime and auto theft on top of a larger drop in offenders. He also believes it's helping to strengthen trust within the community, specifically with parents. In multiple cases, including the recent carjacking, some parents called to help track down the kids in one stolen car. One of the groups that's helped with the task force, 21 Days of Peace, says that's been a key part of the work. Jerry McAfee is with 21 Days of Peace. He says that's 95% of it, because if you got the relationship, if the police and community can get parental support, and if the parents can say, hey, listen, we need help, we're able to make things move the needle. McAfee says his goal now is to continue to build those relationships to best help the entire family if needed. Another State Fair concert announcement. Rock and Roll Hall of Famers. Don't worry, we'll be seeing them about once a week now until the fair. Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Def Leppard will leave the arena world for a while and play the fair on August 26th. Tickets will be priced $77 to $292 and go on sale Friday via etix.com or by calling 800-514-3849 with pre-sale options beginning tomorrow.
Are they the guys with the one-armed drummer?
That's right. Hey, where do you want a pregame for the Def show?
I don't think I'll be going to the Def show.
The Lizard Lounge.
Lizard Lounge. Why don't we take a quick break here, come back with international news after we hear from Chris.
Thank you, Johnny. So we've been talking about Linda Keller Tax Service. I have to share this voicemail I got from Linda talking about the show. We were bragging about how we have 3/5 of the staff that use Linda Keller. Here's what her response was.
Hey, Chris, you can tell Joe I don't need his business. He's probably a big pain in the ass anyway.
Okay. That's
Linda,
the kind of advertisers we want here.
Spot on, Linda.
Thanks, Linda.
That's why she's the absolute best, because she's one of us. She's a GLer. Here's the deal. Go to her website, kellertaxservice.com. I got a great email from JP. Says, I wrote to you guys last year about Linda Keller, and I wanted to do so again. I try to use Garage Logicians whenever I can, and it sure pays off. You've at least mentioned her this year, but now how easy she makes it to get your taxes done. I am certainly not a tech nerd, but her website is so easy to figure out. All of you idiots could probably figure it out. Yeah, we do, because 3/5 of the show use her.
Well, apparently I can't.
No, you're a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
She said she's not dealing with you. Anyway, go to kellertaxservice.com, just like JP and so many other Garage Logicians have done. She's the best. She's going to try to save you as much money as possible. She handles all types of returns, whether you're looking to do personal taxes, whether you have a business. She handles it all, and she's not your typical tax pro. She's the absolute best. Go to kellertaxservice.com and book your appointment today, because she's going to fill up fast as we navigate here through February and then into March. KellerTaxService.com. Please do us a favor and mention to Linda that you heard about her here on the Garage Logic podcast.
Fighting the demagogues of diversity, it's Joe Soucheray.
Federal judge in Boston said Monday he'll continue to pause the Trump administration's plan to offer a deferred resignation buyout to tens of thousands of federal employees until he issues a ruling on the preliminary injunction. Three federal employee unions, with the support of 20 Democratic attorneys general, have argued in a lawsuit that the Office of Personnel Management's deferred resignation offer is an unlawful ultimatum to force the resignation of government workers under the threat of mass termination. Meanwhile, a judge in Rhode Island ordered the Trump administration to comply with his order to unfreeze federal grants after attorneys general for several Democratic states claimed the directive was not to be fulfilled. In a short order Monday, U.S. District Judge John McConnell directed the Trump administration to immediately end any federal funding pause till he decides whether to indefinitely block the freeze while litigation is ongoing. Meanwhile, the Trump administration's efforts to dismantle the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau risk leaving Americans about $18 trillion in consumer debt with less supervision or regulation. One CFPB staffer said yesterday that every meeting and work item on their calendar, including reviewing investigative actions, had been deleted. Moves targeting the CFPB have already drawn lawsuits from a federal union.
I don't understand how the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau would be grifting. In other words, they're not issuing contracts for DEI nonsense. And what don't they just make sure your credit card bill is not being too extravagant, or what? I mean, the interest rate, or what? Never mind.
I hate audits. That's why.
Steve Bannon, the former chief strategist for the Trump White House and right-wing media superstar, pleaded guilty this morning to defrauding donors who thought they were giving money to help build the wall at the United States southern border on Tuesday. Bannon had faced 5 felony counts and up to 15 years in prison, but under the terms of his plea agreement, Bannon pled guilty to 1 count, received a 3-year conditional discharge. He will face no jail time as long as he does not reoffend. Justice Department yesterday ordered federal prosecutors to drop corruption charges against New York City Mayor Eric Adams, arguing in a departure from longstanding norms that the case was interfering with the mayor's ability to aid the president's crackdown on illegal immigration. In a 2-page memo obtained by the Associated Press, Acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove told prosecutors in New York that they were directed to dismiss the bribery charges against Adams immediately. Bove said the order was not based on the strength of evidence in the case, but rather because it had been brought too close to Adams' re-election campaign, and it was distracting from the mayor's efforts to help in the Trump administration's law and order priorities. President Trump has ordered the Treasury Department to stop minting new pennies.
I got something to say about that a little later.
Citing the high cost of production as a wasteful government spending as part of the administration's broader effort to reduce federal expenditure. Each penny costs about 3.69 cents to produce. The U.S. nearly made 3.2 billion pennies in fiscal year 2024, costing taxpayers $85.3 million, excluding the value of the pennies themselves. It remains uncertain whether or not the president can unilaterally halt penny production or if congressional legislation is required. Congress has all constitutional authority over coinage and currency regulation, although federal law does allow the Treasury Secretary some discretion in minting coins.
Make the pennies worth 3.6 cents. Bing, bang, boom, we've just broken even.
Then they're not a penny anymore.
Well, you call them a
Just
new word.
Get rid of them. Round up.
A threepeny.
This is probably the biggest example of government waste we have.
Yeah, we're spending 3 cents to make a 1 cent thing.
Stop making the penny. Use what we have in circulation. If hoarders like you would release
I
your...
don't hoard pennies.
You do.
No, only wheat pennies.
I don't believe
Get them
Only
out
wheat
there.
pennies. Only wheat pennies.
Get them out there.
Wheat pennies are the source
I'd like
of my
a
fortune.
sting
They're
operation.
pennies.
J. Cole's jumping out of
I'm
a bush.
falling back on that as the source of my estate.
Well, you got about $100 worth?
At least.
Wheat pennies are pennies. Get them into circulation.
How many pennies do you get for $85.3 million?
3.6 billion. He just said it. He just said it.
Just read, yeah.
Yeah, 3.69 cents per
they
penny.
Made 3.2 billion pennies.
Yeah, 3.2 billion pennies.
85.3 million.
I don't think Reavers really care.
It's a lot. I like pennies. I like a new shopper,
That's the
shiny
biggest,
penny.
Joe, it's the biggest example of government waste. You of all people.
You know what? If that's the biggest example, Kenny, we're doing pretty well. We can stop all the investigations.
Unfortunately, Kenny, that's not the biggest example.
Yeah, and $1,000 hammers and $1,800 toilet seats and all those other things we used to talk about in the 80s.
Update to a story from yesterday. Philadelphia police report they arrested 50 people after the Eagles win against the Chiefs in New Orleans on Sunday. Among those, 5 people arrested for assault on police. There were also 2 arrests for aggravated assault, 1 for recklessly endangering another person, and 1 for misdemeanor disorderly conduct in the 3rd degree. Initially, police said 29 people were arrested for disorderly conduct and issued code violation notices.
G
L
E S L.
McDonald's yesterday reporting disappointing quarterly revenue dragged down by weaker than expected sales at its U.S. restaurants following that E. coli outbreak at McDonald's just weeks into the quarter. But shares of the company did rise about 5% because executives predicted sales should improve in 2025, assuming there's no more E. coli outbreaks.
ELGLES.
You know what's weird? Even weirder about that? I think some people yell EL and some people yell EG. So,
she was right at home with that crowd. None of them knew how to spell Eagles.
What is she spelling? Who gives a damn? We won.
Yep.
A river in a suburb of Buenos Aires in Argentina has turned red, sparking concern among residents.
Iron in the water, John?
Well, they're not sure. Footage and images of the Sarandi watercourse, which flows into the Rio de la Plata estuary, show the sudden change in color. It's not the first time it's changed color, according to local media reports, with residents raising fears of contamination. One resident said, "I've lived here all my life. Today we have this red water. Before it's been gray, it's been green, it's been violet and bluish, sometimes very brown." Another local said on other days we have a thick yellow layer left on the top.
I think she's a bit polluted.
I think so. Officials have been to the site to take away samples of the red water for testing. The region's environment ministry told La Nacion samples of the water would be analyzed to find out what's causing the discoloration. The pictures from the sky show that it stretches several miles on the river.
There's red sand and red water in parts of Iran, and that's because of the iron in the earth.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
The more you know.
That's right.
And in Chicago, they dye the river green.
On St. Patrick's Day.
That's coming up.
I saw that in a movie once.
Yep.
Which movie?
Escape Convict.
Got it.
A doctor accused of a crime he didn't commit.
Fugitive?
Like a documentary style.
Fugitive, right?
Yeah. How'd you know? Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Somebody driving this thing, Joe? Are you at the
John,
wheel?
are you done?
I can be. It's up to you.
Well, you're done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good job, John.
You know, if you move to Sioux Falls, you can take us with you. And a lot of people might be thinking of relocating their business or starting a new chapter of their business. You might want to take a look at South Dakota and its premier city, Sioux Falls, with a population of more than 290,000 people. Great, willing, and ready young workforce, low business costs, high quality of life, no state, corporate, or personal income tax, no inheritance tax, and no limits to what your business can achieve. And their legislators actually work for a living because they have a short legislative session. It's tax friendly. You can still have us. We'll be there with you in your podcast form. But fastest growing Midwest metro, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, hardest working, according to Wallet Hub, tax friendliness for Money Magazine. Everything you want to know about Sioux Falls can be learned at SiouxFallsDevelopment.com. That's one word. And remember, entrepreneurs welcome, unlike Minnesota. SiouxFallsDevelopment.com.
Here's a man who spends hours in hardware stores, sifting through the nuts and bolts of life. Joe Soucheray.
Don't forget, GLers, a week from this coming Friday is the 2025 North American Banking Company Minnesota Golf Show.
Are we going to be there?
We are, Joe.
A week from this Friday?
A week from this Friday. It's Friday, February 21st through Sunday, February 23rd. We'll be there that Friday, right around noon. It's at the Minneapolis Convention Center. Compliments of TwinCitiesGolf.com. Each ticket purchase includes 10 free greens fee passes if you purchase online. It's a value of over $350.
It's a hell of a deal.
Your electronic ticket will include a web link to redeem the free greens fee passes. You can find more information and tickets at mngolfshow.com. And just announced, we will be joined by Minnesota Viking Hall of Famer John Randall.
If I'm thinking of the right Viking, he's a good golfer.
Loves golf. He's the ambassador for this year's Minnesota Golf Show.
Wonderful.
So you can come see Mr. Randall with the Garage Logic crew, but you got to get your tickets first, and you do that by going to mngolfshow.com.
He's a much more relaxed in retirement than he was as a player.
I think the big question here, Joe, is who's driving you and I to the golf show?
Hello.
My peripheral vision caught radar lock.
Hello, rookie.
I'll be there at 11 a.m. for you to pick me up.
I disagree with all of you who want to ban the pennies. I think pennies are Americana, and I think that if it costs us $85 million, so what? That's pocket change. Let's go here. Let's have our pennies.
You know what that is? That's nothing.
You know what it is?
That's
nothing.
That's the most absurd thing you have ever said as mayor of Garage Logic. And I am going to organize a recall petition and get you pulled out of office because you have very obviously gone insane.
All right, wouldn't you miss the penny?
Nobody said we're going to stop using the penny. If all of you hoarders that have a 5-gallon bucket full of change in your bedroom would turn those pennies in, we'd be just fine.
Where do you stand on the nickel? It costs 14 cents to make a nickel.
Get rid of it.
Dump it.
We're done.
We're down to dimes.
Wonder what it costs to make. Well, then in other words, it costs money to make all forms of currency.
Look at that. Look at
A
what you're gonna do
quarter.
for
It stands to reason. If we're going by size, then a quarter must cost a hell of a lot to make.
Okay, but what you're going to do is you are going to make America fast again because morons like you that pay in cash and they have to go 37 cents.
Let
I
me get my
gotta
rubber
this
coin
out of
purse
here.
out
Put it here.
because
as
it's
my-
1957 in my world.
Make it go down to quarters. Everything is $12.50 or $12.75.
I don't have a coin purse. Okay,
Yeah, I bet you do.
the little
Like the
football
name
I
of-
bet
one.
you do a little
Yeah,
football one. And
one.
it's
I don't have one.
A
It's
name
just-
of a bank on it or
It's
something.
worn, and it's worn because he's used it, so he's had it forever.
Joe, it's like the old saying goes, sometimes you got to spend money to make money.
No, it says. No, I know what it is. It says, what was the title
I
company?
don't have a
What'd you
coin
man, What's
purse.
the title company you worked for?
St. Paul Abstract and Title
It says
Guarantee.
St. Paul Abstract, and it's red, and it just beat to shit.
No,
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's got no integrity left.
Okay, let me ask you something. Let me
hang on a
ask you
sec.
something.
No,
Hold
hang
on,
Go
on.
ahead, John.
I looked up how much it costs to make a quarter.
Yeah.
And a quarter is a great deal. It only costs 15 cents.
Let's go.
Really?
Done.
What's
That's
it cost
2
to
bits,
make
right?
50-cent piece? Do we
It
still have
costs-
50-cent pieces?
Yes, it costs almost 34 cents, 0.3397 cents.
Well, then
to
a
make that
pennies,
half dollar.
keep making them. They're cheap.
John, do you have a list, silver dollar?
No,
Or no?
I don't have
No,
it.
okay.
It only goes quarters and
Let me ask
got
you a
it.
question, and you have to be brutally honest.
What are you looking at me for?
Will you pick up a penny if you see one on the
Yes.
sidewalk?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Matt
Nope.
says yes.
And
No.
the
It has to
reason
be
being-
heads up.
Has
John
to be-
Height?
exactly.
John Height?
I'm with Reavers. It has to be heads up. 'Cause
It's-
that's good luck.
It's heads up for good luck, but
Yeah.
I never looked. I'll just pick it up.
I pick up pennies and bother my father-in-law, who's passed.
Kenny?
Never,
All right.
ever.
And if it's tails up, then you turn it over for the next person.
I'm not that
Well,
thoughtful.
for Pete's sake.
I'm
I only
taking it. I'm
it's
taking it.
It's quarters or more for me. And if you drop your wallet on the ground, that thing's gone.
And
you know what
for
a-
free.
You know what a penny saved is, don't you?
A penny earned.
It's a penny earned.
It's 3 cents lost from the government.
Yeah.
Well, I just feel bad
Look
about
at
it.
that
and
Escargot.
I hope I am around long enough to see the penny survive. Do you have Lego sets at home for your kids?
Boy, do I.
Yes. A Rubbermaid basket full of. Gabe was big into Legos.
Boy, there's some people that really love these toys, the Lego toys.
Yeah, they're fun.
Well, we have a problem.
What do we got?
The
big Lego store at the Mall of America, Brick Mania on Central Avenue in Minneapolis, is a great place to bring your grandchildren or children.
According to the Science Museum in London, England, the Lego sets are bigoted against members of the LGBT community.
They have female Legos and male Legos. Animals.
The revelation is explained in a self-guided tour at the museum entitled Seeing Things Queerly. Get it? Not clearly.
Wow.
Not clearly. Yeah,
I can see queerly.
The tour is
now.
intended to help listeners discover some of the objects on display at the Science Museum that tell stories of queer communities, experiences, and identities. I hope that's fading from the world. Everyone is unique, and with a little more love, acceptance, and understanding in the world, we can all feel more free to be our true, awesome selves.
Why are they ruining such an innocent toy?
Said Matthew Ashton, the designer of the set.
There are no Lego breasts. There are no butts. There's no female or male parts.
Well, I can explain it to you. The museum website explains the oppression being committed by the plastic bricks. Like other connectors and fasteners, Lego bricks are often described in a gendered way. The top of the brick with sticking out pins is male, and the bottom of the brick with holes to receive the pins is female.
I hope.
And the process of the two sides being put together is called mating. The museum says that description applies to heteronormative language that is unrelated to gender, sex, and reproduction. Isn't this something? The world's going to end.
They're forcing that. They're forcing that.
The world's
What
going
should
to end.
it be? By the way, this phenomenon exists everywhere in the construction and automotive industry.
But isn't this what we're putting a stop to right now with this current president?
I hope so. It illustrates how heteronormativity, the idea that heterosexuality and male-female gender binary are the norm, shapes the way we speak about science, technology, and the world in general, the museum said. So if you go to the museum in London, you'll get a little walk-along recorder that tells you that the Legos are
heteronormativity.
That's right, and it's completely wrong, and we must do something about this
Immediately.
Harumph.
I think we
harumph.
are.
Are they giving us any recommendations as to how they should be referred to?
No. And to be perfectly honest, as I'm not terribly familiar with Legos, but they're everywhere. I see them. We have some, I think. And I've never heard these terms being used of mating and.
Well, no, you build a castle or a truck.
You're just playing with Legos.
Yes,
but we're talking about. They shouldn't feel this way because we're talking about an item that has two genders. On one side, it's a male. On the other side, it's a female.
It's a good point.
Isn't that?
Why aren't they being celebrated?
Are they some sort of trans Lego?
Maybe it's a trans Lego.
You could probably make a rainbow car. But I'll tell you, I don't care what gender they are. They hurt like hell if you step on one.
Oh, God.
Oh,
send you through the roof.
Oh, boy. If I stepped on a Lego with my surgically repaired big toe, I'd be in traction.
Krabby Coffee Shop is in the process of trying to book Jared Spurgeon's wife, Danielle.
Why?
Danielle has one room in her home solely devoted to Lego.
Really?
Things that she's built and are still put together and are displayed prominently on shelves
Does
and
she
glass
have
cases.
Kids?
I believe she does.
Spurgeon?
Yes.
Yeah.
Danielle Spurgeon.
Yeah, I'm sure that.
That sounds like something Channel 4 would do as a news segment. Hey, this lady's got a room full of Legos.
I don't know how hard we're trying to get her, but I know we've talked about.
Well, I
booking her.
bet she'd be amenable to that.
Do you guys ever watch the Lego Masters show, the television show?
No, I never.
I have
It's
not.
actually pretty neat because my boys are addicted to it, so I'll sit down and watch it with them. There's some people that can build some really cool stuff.
And by the way,
Will Arnett hosts.
Will
right?
Arnett, yes.
Drop a little knowledge on you here. It's not, and it should never be said that it's called Lagos. There's no S. It's always a Lego. Like deer, you don't see there's 5 deers.
So the plural form of Lego is Lego?
There's no plural form. It's Lego.
Are they a Swedish invention?
Danish,
Danish?
I believe. I will verify that.
I think you're right. You don't have to don't Rain Man it. It's really not worth it.
I got all my info from Brickmania. It's a really cool place to bring kids. They have all sorts of ships and stuff already set up.
You know where I brought my kid? I brought my kid to the dirt bike store and made him really happy.
That screwed him up.
The gun store, the snowmobile store.
Ole Kirk Christensen, founded in 1932 in Billund, Denmark.
They're that old?
I would have guessed that.
What are you picturing the very first Lego? It's about this big.
Yeah, it's a giant.
Well, that guy's got to be wealthy.
Well, he's probably dead.
He's dead.
There's 24,000 employees, 42 offices. Yeah, my guess is he probably didn't.
He died when I was 1, according to what I'm reading here, 1958.
He hasn't been around then for a while.
Joe, as a kid, Chris is right. Having Lego distinguished you from the poor kids that had Lincoln Logs.
Or duplex. Remember the duplex
Well,
ones?
then I've got news for you. We had, when I was a lad, I had Lincoln Logs.
Well, you grew up in a sod hut. I mean,
No, my
wonder.
grandmother did, and we barely
Same
had
thing.
a house.
He had the Lego Group's motto, a little bit above our complacent mottos. Only the best is good enough.
That was the owner's model.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he would have been a rich guy if he lived.
Right. If he was still alive today, he would be really old.
Only because they come to us all the way from Lake Las Vegas, Nevada, and the traveling Lymans. It's on this day.
Feb 11.
Well, on this day in 1811, Henry Jackson was born in the state of Virginia. He moved to St. Paul in 1842, and he rented a place from old Pierre Pig's Eye Perrant. That's right. A trader and merchant, he served as the city's postmaster and its first justice of the peace, and I bet that's where we get Jackson Street. Right
Oh,
down
for
there
sure.
that led to where Pierre Perrant had his cave by the side of the river anyway.
Yep.
On this day,
On February 11th.
1888, the Town and Country Club was founded in St. Paul.
That's a nice
First
little track.
located on the shores of Lake Como, in 1891, the club moved to its present location near the Marshall Avenue Bridge. A golf course, originally tomato cans sunk in a pasture, was set up in 1893, and it is now the second oldest course in the country.
Rook, don't you have a running tab at that place?
Yeah. I got my number is 732, I believe. That's the card I use. I don't know whose it is, but that's
Joe,
732. It's paid every month.
in an effort to change the subject and rather quickly,
Yes.
what became of the property around Como that was the initial course? Is that a park?
I believe that just became Como Park.
Okay.
Plus, there's also now there's a golf course at Como.
But Como, there was another lake by Como that they had to drain in order to make the golf course.
I did not know that.
You don't have
Yes.
to know somebody, though, to go to the golf course.
No, you walk right on.
Well, I think, aren't they planning on bulldozing that
Otherwise, Kenny-
goat track down to build an arena?
732. Or maybe that was the Lex one. I forget.
Moving right along.
That tomato can stuck in the pasture ain't far off.
Wow. Wow.
It's the oldest course west of the Mississippi.
What I like about
Oldest
that course is in the winter, they throw open the gates and they let the kids slide on that big ass hill. That is so
well,
cool.
Not this year.
Oh.
Not this year.
Wait, isn't the course east of the Mississippi?
Well, I've always been confused by that too. But if you think of the route of the Mississippi, it's essentially the club is essentially west of it. Where it sits, it's immediately east of it.
No.
But as it winds down, you're west of it.
No.
Huh?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
How can the course cross the river? Twice.
Well, it wouldn't be the oldest course east of the Mississippi. That would be somewhere in New York or Massachusetts.
But the course isn't west of the Mississippi.
But it's the oldest course west of the Mississippi.
No, it's east of the Mississippi.
Where it sits, it's immediately east of the Mississippi. But
Period.
for the most part,
that's where the sentence ends. Period.
Most part of it is west. No,
it's
most
not.
of the river is east of the club.
Huh?
No. It's east
I don't
of
know
the-
why it's called the oldest west of the Mississippi.
I'm sorry. I brought that up.
On this day,
Feb 11.
what are we doing? This day in history.
1891, yeah.
1891. The Duluth, Mesabi, and Northern Railroad was established by the Merritt brothers to carry iron ore from the Mesabi Range to Lake Superior ports. Leonidas Merritt had discovered iron near Mountain Iron the previous November. So that's what
we did.
Then the Merritt brothers got a recording contract with Columbia. Boom, boom, boom.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's this day in history. Feb 11.
11.
Posing.
What time is it?
11.
Yeah. Thank you, GLers.
Please do us a favor and stay tuned all month long as we announce a new GLer of the Week each and every single Friday throughout the month of February. All you got to do is be an annual Town Council subscriber and you're automatically entered each month. And if selected, you'll get a shout out on the show from the mayor and that amazing $50 gift box from our friends at Masters Maples and mastersmaples.com. Don't wait. Join the Town Council or upgrade your membership now and you could be the GLer of the Week. Find all the details at garagelogic.com. Don't forget to subscribe to Garage Logic on YouTube. Yeah, Garage Logic's on YouTube each and every day starting around noon where you can watch the show live. It's all there for you. And follow us on all of our social media channels, which includes Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, which is Johnny Height's personal favorite. What am I missing? Oh, the Daily Logician. That's an email. Comes right to your inbox each and every single day and includes the most recent episode of the podcast.